On today's episode number 784 of Into Your Head podcast, pancakes and ashes, cloning a toaster, something about the Sphinx, how to throw an analogy out the window, in self-inflicted sock stuffing, playing with adhesives, and lots more. Absolutely fucking below standard, but nonetheless a podcast. Hello. Lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to, issues that need to be addressed, topics. Oh, topics. We've got lots and lots of topics. We're positively booming to the seams with topics. We've got topics coming out of my arse. I don't know. I don't have any fucking topics. I don't know. I'm out of ideas. I'm on a lull in creativity at the moment. It's one of those. One of those periods when you have a lull in creativity after 784 podcasts or so. Every now and then you have a time when you think, Christ, I've nothing to say. Nothing to say. That's what I have, nothing to say. Luckily I've got something here to play with. I've got a packet of white tack. Stuff for sticking things to other things. Basically an adhesive material which you break off like this. It's very satisfying. You break it off like this, and then you stick it to things. You use it to stick your smoke detector to your ceiling, or you use it to affix. You use it to basically affix things to other things. Because everything in the universe, I know, is already connected according to Professor Stephen Hawking, everything in the universe is connected. I don't want to patronise you by explaining the theories of Professor Stephen Hawking in too much detail, but suffice to say, everything in the universe is connected. Even when it looks like there's nothing, there's stuff connecting everything. Everything's connected. It's all a big mush. It's like when you make a stew, or when I make one anyway. When I make a stew, I don't get out my Professor Stephen Hawking songbook or whatever it is he wrote when I'm making a stew. No, because I've done it enough times to do it from memory. I get out my carrots, and I get out a small amount of what do you call it? What's that? Not turnip, parsnip. I get some onions, preferably ready chopped from the local supermarket if it's convenient. But don't get them too far in advance, or they'll rot. They'll rot like your teeth when you eat sweets. And I tell you, that's not an effect that you want from a vegetable. No. I'm not referring to Professor Stephen. Oh, I used the vegetable pun again. Christ, I used that in an episode of Matchstick Cats recently, number 400. You don't want to get too repetitive with this, but no. You get a bit of meat, you get a bit of, what's that stuff? The cubes, the stock cubes. Every proper chef has stock cubes on hand. You put them in, and you put in some water, and you put in a few baby potatoes, and you put in some tomatoes towards the end when everything else is nearly cooked. You put in some tomato puree, you put in some seasoning, some aromat seasoning and pepper. Don't put in salt. The listener or the user can use the salt at the end. That's what I find. You have to, especially if you're creating a universe, which is what this stew analogy was supposed to be. If you're creating a universe, for Christ's sake, leave some water that's not salted, or else you'll never have human life come into being. You have to leave some water that's not salted, so don't put the salt in. The end user can put the salt in when so needed. When they're drinking it, they won't put salt in. If they're just bathing in it, they might add salt. They might add redox bath salts if they want a nice long bath. But again, you leave all that to the end user. Put in pepper by all means. Pepper it wherever you like except salt. Don't pepper it with salt. Pepper it with other things. Oh, that's a little pun for you. What else do? You put in a bit of, I said carrots and parsnips, didn't I? Baby peas. You could put in some peas, but put them in at the end for Christ's sake. Don't burn them to a crisp. And then Well, you stew it up, you cook it up, you burn it to a crisp, and then you take it out of the burnt saucepan, and you drain out anything left that's not burnt and put it into another pot, and then throw out the burnt saucepan and see if you can revive the stew in any way. And then if you can't, you just start again. You've all the time in the world when you're making a universe. That's the thing you have to remember. You've got all the time. As your man said, what was your man's name? Louis Armstrong. Hold on. Let's have a bit of... We've got all the time in the world. There's some account on Twitter I keep following that keeps reposting a picture of Louis Armstrong serenading his wife on a trumpet or trombone or something in front of the Sphinx and the pyramids in Egypt in black and white. I don't mean they were a mixed race couple. I mean the photograph was in black and white. And now that I think about it, I can't even remember whether it was in black and white. I think I probably just said that out of habit. Anyway, we have all the time in the world, more or nothing less. We've got time to do all this. Anyway, hello. I'll just turn this off to save the battery, and welcome to the show. Now, I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, oh, it's been a while since he did a podcast. Well, it has not, as a matter of fact. It's only been a while if you add up all the podcasts I've put out in 2015 so far, and then shorten the gap between them theoretically, and then say, normally he'd put out one every few days, and if you count all the ones he's put out this year so far, then he's only done enough to fill up until around the 20th of January, which, if you don't mind me saying, that's a made up concept. That's just imagine. That's all theoretical. You're being far too theoretical. I've had them spaced out very surprisingly well, as a matter of fact. Just that the gaps of being wider than they used to be. That's because I don't have anything to say. When you don't have any, a wise man once said, when you don't have anything to say, and then he stopped speaking. Because that's what you do. You stop speaking. You shut your goddamn mouth. You put a sock in it. Or put something into the sock. There's a sock on its own. If it's a summer sock, that's not going to block you from speaking. You can speak through a sock. It's not going to, unless it's tied very tight around the back of your throat and inside your mouth. You're not going to do that yourself. No, it's very hard to harm yourself in that way, I'm told. To do anything. It's very difficult to do anything that, if you hold your breath for long enough intentionally, there's going to become a time when your brain, the normal healthy brain, clocks in and says, stop doing that, breathe, you fucking idiot. That's my understanding. So it's very hard to stuff a sock so far down your throat that you can't speak through it. Well, I suppose it wouldn't. If you're just trying to stop yourself from speaking rather than stop yourself from existing, then I suppose it might be more doable. But no, I find, I don't find, because I don't do this, I don't cram socks into my mouth, because I'm able to just resist the impulse to speak when I've nothing to say these days. So I don't need to cram a sock into my mouth. But the sock is metaphorical. I'm reminded at the moment of this because I have a big pop filter screen in front of my microphone here, and it looks a bit like a sock that's being stretched over a wire thing. There are people who make these things out of ladies' tights and stockings, or whatever you call them, and they stretch them over a round plastic frame. They do a DIY job. They say, I'm going to DIY it. I'm going to do it myself. Except they're doing it wrong, because if it was proper do it yourself, if it was proper do it myself, it would be DIM, which spells dim, which is a word for stupid. No. So they say, I'm going to DIY it. I say, I'm going to DIY it, which is DIYI, which is the ATM of the self-build world, as far as I'm concerned. This is the sort of thing you'd hear on Adam Carolla. He does this, I used to be a builder. So here's how you make a microphone. He's got a separate podcast out that's just all about making microphones. And he comes on and says, I used to be a builder. You get a round thing, and then you get some cables, and then you get an electrical contractor in to install those, and then you get a plumber in to do the plumbing part, which I presume would be, I don't know what it would be. You don't need a plumbing part on recording equipment, surely to Christ. Although I will need a piss at some point here. But I already have. I can use the natural plumbing that exists in my home for that purpose. We serve the purpose. That's a Queen song, isn't it? We serve the purpose. Like a bloody circus, we were so bad and we do something. Was it all worth it? Living, breathing, rock and roll. It was a whole worth it from the extended version of the Miracle album, if I remember rightly, which indeed I do, because I was obsessed with Queen in my day. I don't know where are we going with this. We're going nowhere. That's where we're going. Absolutely fucking fantastic. Two sphinxes walk into a bar. One of the sphinxes goes straight up to the bar counter and says, hello, can I have a pint of your finest bronze polish, please? Or whatever the sphinx is made of. What am I made of? What should I be polished with? Am I made of gold? Am I gold plated? Or am I made of dust like the rest of those inferior people who occupy this earth? Are we all made of dust? That's a religious thing. There's a religious belief I used to be taught in school. I went to Catholic school and we were taught you all come from dust and to dust you shall return. They used to say it at Mass as well sometimes. I think it was around on Ash Wednesday the priest would go around. He'd be swinging a thing with smoke coming out of it, burning, scaring the crap out of children and going, remember, thou art from dust and to dust thou shall return. And then of course you came along and there'd be dust on everyone's head. You'd go around, they'd brush everyone's head with dust. This was the day after Pancake Tuesday every year. The day after, you'd have Pancake Tuesday on the Tuesday, and then you'd have Ash Wednesday on the Wednesday. And I can tell you the contrast was fantastic. You need a bit of contrast with these things. You go around pancake. I don't know if you foreigners are familiar with the use of pancakes over here. We have pancakes once a year, and it's on Pancake Tuesday. You don't go having them for breakfast. Well, you do. We do. Admittedly, I have pancakes for breakfast sometimes. We get the ones that you put in the toaster, the little ones. You put them in the toaster and you put down the toasting and you say, toaster, I realise that your warranty expressly forbids putting anything other than slices of bread into you, but it's not like I'm going to go and make a claim on the warranty. You're an €8.99 toaster and it's fine if this breaks you. If these pancakes break you, then it's your time to go anyway. It's a survival of the fittest of the toaster world. That's what it is, I can tell you. So I just chance it. I do the same with crumpets. You get crumpets that are almost too thick to put in a toaster, and you put them in anyway. You say, to hell with it, I'll risk the toaster for this. If the toaster only lasts a year, to hell with it, we'll get another one. We'll go back to the same place and get the same toaster again. Probably a bit inconsiderate. That's like if a kid dies and you decide, I'm going to clone it. I've got a bit of its hair, I'm going to clone the exact same one rather than making a different one. Is that tasteful? It probably isn't. I don't know. I haven't had time to think about it. On a normal podcast, you see, you plan all this stuff in advance, and I'd have gone through all these topics and made editorial decisions, but you can't do that if it's going straight from your mouth into the internet. You've no time time for that, so please understand. I don't have time. I don't have an opportunity to censor myself unless I put this out on a 10-second delay, like they do with talk radio. When the likes of Howard Stern go out, they have it on a 10-second delay, and there's a producer there ready to stop it. If you say anything offensive, if a caller swears, you hear a sudden skip, and that's when they use up the 10-second delay, and then you come back and you hear the guy saying, "Do you realise you just swore?" And they'll say, "I fucking well do not. I fucking well do not." Except they don't say that because they've been cut off at that stage. But no, you get the general idea. You get the general idea. Oh, well, I don't. I can't remember what I was just talking about. But I think it's time for a full commercial, FAUX, a commercial break. Meaning, faux is the French for fake. A fake commercial break. Because let's face it, this isn't frigging television. We're not going to have a string of fucking commercials for Kellogg's cornflakes. No, it's just going to be the following.
Into your head.
Remember, we value the opinions of you, the humble and ignorant listener. Email studio@intoyourhead.com.
studio@intoyourhead.com.
Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats and stuff.
Are you a cat? Or do you know somebody who might be? Then tell yourself about Matchstick Cats, Neal's webcomic. Brand new episodes at intoyourhead.com.
Intoyourhead.com.
I don't think I completed the story about the two sphinxes walking into the bar. I think I got distracted, didn't I? I probably did, which is a good thing because it fills up a bit of space. Space in time. It doesn't really fill up much space in the real world. This podcast, I'd say, expands to maybe 50 megabytes of space, which I suppose is quite a lot. Wait a minute, how much does this podcast take up in space? I can't remember now. Hold on a minute and I'll open up iTunes and I'll analyse a recent episode to see how much data these podcasts take up. I usually put it at an extortionately high bit rate, because quality over quantity is, in theory, it's not. We all know it's not as simple as that. Nothing's as simple as that. If it was all this, oh Christ, a new version of iTunes is available. Do you want to download it now? I fucking well do not. Be gone with the demons of iTunes, with your servants of Satan trying to put crap onto my... Oh, I got a new iTelephone. Did I tell you that? I probably did. I got a new iTelephone. I have an iTelephone again. It's fantastic. Oh, here we go. Here's an episode. How big are you? File. 57.7 megabytes. Is that a lot? It probably is for a half-hour show. That's probably a lot. You're getting great value there, I can tell you. That's that. Show 783, the Penn and Teller of the cat world. Not one of my better episodes, I must say. I wasn't overly delighted with the content therein. Well, at least this will supersede it now. That's no longer at the top of the feed. This is at the top of the feed now. Fuck. What in the name of Christ was that? What in the name of... Something fell and I don't know what. I suppose we'll find out later. If needs be, we'll find out. Where was I? Oh yes, I was going on about space or something. I was saying this episode is now at the top of the feed. So this is the first thing you'll see. If you're going to judge a book by its cover, this is the cover. Except it's not. This is the edge of the book. Whatever episode is at the top of the feed at the moment in a podcast is not the equivalent of the book's cover. It's the equivalent of the edge of the book that you see sticking out the side. when it's lined up on a bookshelf. And even then, that's not even a proper analogy, is it? Or maybe it is, I don't know. Depends on what you're trying to make an analogy for. If it's not a proper analogy, then I haven't communicated it properly, so there's no way you would know what I'm trying to make an analogy for, so it's not for you to determine whether or not it's a good analogy. This is a terrible segment. Absolutely appalling. The whole purpose was to get back to the Sphinx. Anyway, two Sphinxes walk into a bar. One of the Sphinxes goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, can I have a pint of your finest wherever you wash bronze with?" And the man behind the bar says, "This isn't a frigging public bathing pool. This is a bar." And the Sphinx says, "I thought we're from back in Roman times. Are we not from back in Roman times when they had public baths and things, and people used to go off in the evening and spend their evening in luxuriating at the public bathhouses?" And the man behind the bar says, "No, that's Rome. The Sphinx isn't from Rome. The Sphinx is from Greece, is it? Or Egypt or somewhere like that." And the Sphinx says, "Is this not part of the Roman Empire though? Because the Roman Empire extended far beyond the city of Rome in those days, I can tell you. Or to put it another way, the city of Rome was huge. Was it not the whole of Europe or something?" And the man behind the bar says, "I don't know. I don't know. I haven't studied history that far because I'm from back before that. I don't study the history of the future." And the Sphinx says, "You probably shouldn't make historical cat stories if you're not going to know the history." And the Sphinx says, "I couldn't agree more." No, the barman says, "I couldn't agree more. Well, what's cats got to do with this?" And the Sphinx says, I'd always assumed that the Sphinx was a type of cat. Now, people might assume it's a wild cat just because it's very big. It's a big cat. But no, it doesn't have to be a wild cat to be a big cat. It can just be a big domestic cat. Maybe they had large domesticated cats back in frigging Egyptian times. This segment isn't getting much better, is it? No, it's not. At this point, I should probably delete it and start anew. But it's 5 minutes and 23 seconds in. 25 now. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And it's getting late in the day. And I want to get a fucking podcast out. That's what I want to do. I want to get a fucking podcast out. I suppose I could just keep saying this for the next 15 minutes and then that'll be it done. We can forget about quality. Oh, we can throw quality out the window. The window's not open at the moment though. Can't reach it from here. I'm trying now. I've put my hand out towards the window. I'd say it's about 6 inches from the window. And even if I could extend my hand out those extra 6 inches, still would have to go. The handle is still a couple of feet above that. I'd have to turn the handle and then I'd have to push the window out and then I'd have to be throwing some. Well, I could throw, certainly if the window was open, then I could throw something out the window from here, but I don't know how you throw quality out the window. That's taken when you try to transfer a metaphor into the real world. Then I don't know. I suppose now that I think about it, my internet antenna is just outside this window on the outside wall. So if I upload this podcast, it gets uploaded through that antenna, goes up into the sky. So I'm basically throwing it out the window then. I'm throwing it out through a wiring through the wall beside the window technically, but close enough. So we just have to upload this and it's almost the same as throwing it out the window. Absolutely. I'm glad we at least got that out of it.
Hello, this is J. Edgar Casey, and whenever I am listening to fine podcasts, I tune into the Into Your Head program because it's very clean.
This is going to be the end of the show. That's what, well, the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of the end of today's episode of Into Your Head podcast. I can tell you, hasn't come a minute too soon as far as I'm concerned. I just want to get it done and dusted, get something up and out, and then we'll see if we can start working on something better for the next time. Maybe I'll start, I don't know, maybe I'll start doing them, maybe I'll start making them better again. again. Maybe that's what I'll start doing, because I feel there's being a drop in quality here, and I don't like it. I don't like it. If there's one thing I don't like, it's drops in quality. As well, there's other. I wouldn't like any kind of drops. I wouldn't like acid. Are acid drops a thing? Or maybe they're not. Are they not a... No, because they used to... You see, the problem with drops is they have drops that you put in your eyes, and they have drops that they refer to as a term for those sweets that old people eat, that are hard-boiled sweets. And there's also things... drops could also refer to problems in the editing process, which I'm sure there'll be plenty of those, like bits where the audio falls out, seeing as how this is a low-standard episode, if I'm to be believed, which apparently I am. I heard myself just now say in my own words that this was a terrible episode, or words to that effect. So if I'm saying that, it must be true. It must be true. Why would I critique my own self, my own output in that way if I didn't feel it was the case? Although I'm only one person. That's only my opinion. And I don't have to listen to this crap. I'm the one person who doesn't have to listen to this crap once it's put up. That's one small mercy. One small step for man. One small mercy for me, not having to listen to this crap. Just goes to show. Two large cups of dark stimulation drink later, and you still can't fucking do. Did I hear a fucking smoke alarm blip? I hope I fucking well did not. I just changed the batteries. They better not be fucking faulty, because if they are, there's a good chance that I'm going to burn to death in here. Although probably not. It would be a constant, persistent bleeping. If that was the case, it would say, you're going to burn to death. It wouldn't be once every 5 minutes. No. If it's once every 5 minutes, it means there's a fault, or the battery is dead. It doesn't mean you're dead. If you're dead, you won't hear any bleeping at all. If you're in danger of becoming dead, hopefully it'll find some happy medium where it bleeps more regularly than that. It'll go something like the following: beep, 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 beep. And you'll say, oh, the smoke detector appears to be trying to attract my attention, which doesn't make sense, and since it's an inanimate object, it's not even a computer program, is it? Or maybe it is, I don't know. Is there a frigging one of those chips in it with lines on it? A circuit board. I suppose you call that hardware. I suppose that's a computer program of sorts. If you want to be picky about it, you could argue that that's a computer program. I wouldn't though. I would just say it's a gadget. It's a mechanical gadget. As fucking panics at the first sign of me putting the kettle on, which I don't do that often because I have a coffee machine. I don't use the kettle to make beverages most of the time. I use the coffee machine. So if there's that. There's always that. That's what there's that. That's a good name for an episode. There's that. Well, I call the episode that. I was going to call it Stuck Together with God's Stew, and then I was going to call it Pancakes and Ashes, but now I have another one. There's that. I think I'll call it There's That. There's quite snappy. There's that. And I'll move Stuck Together with God's Stew into the contents listing. Stuck Together with God's Stew. There we go. That's much better. There's that. That's the title for a podcast. At least we got a good title for a fucking change. There we go. That's something to be... Let's be positive about that. Because there's that. You see, that's positive. There's that. There is indeed that. There's always that. There's always something. That's the thing. There's always. I suppose that's a way of being negative. There's always something. But you couldn't be. I could be saying there's always something good. You assume that when I say there's always something, you assume I'm thinking there's always something wrong. No. I could be saying there's always something good, which indeed I am. So there we go. There's a spam email advertising some kind of sexual fucking medicine that's illegal to import into this or any other respectable country. Anyway, good morning.
Into your head.